Hi, and a very happy 2019 to you. Wishing you all the best to you and your family for this new year. Today we are talking about my 2018 makeup favorites. And these are some things that I've really just loved using. Some of them are new to me this year, but some are things that I've previously loved and probably mentioned in the last year's video. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started with kind of the order that I go in. And I actually filmed a get ready with me from beginning to end using these products, so that'll be coming soon. But today we'll just talk about them. So I of course start with Even Up by Color Science. It is the SPF 50. It brightens, corrects, and protects. So I start with this, and I'm new to this one this year. It's the Color Science, also Bronzing Perfector. It's SPF 20. And let me just swatch really quickly those for you. So you can see that the Even Up is a bit light for me. So I do go in with the Bronzing Perfector after that, and I use that on my darker areas. So you can see it has a nice salmony tone to it. So Even Up and then the Bronzing Perfector. They are both still a little bit light for me, which is why I go in with my next steps. And I do like a little mix of brightening, illuminating products for different reasons. So I actually use 3 of them at the same time. So once I put on the Even Up and even the Bronzing Perfector, it's still too light. So I want to bring my skin back to its natural color, or as close as I can get. So I start with the CC Serum by Terry. It's kind of like separated at this point. So I start with the by Terry Cellular Rose Brightening CC Serum, and that's in Sunny Flash. And you'll see, I'm going to swatch it for you. There's a bit of a silver tone to it. It's a little cool for me, is I think why it comes off as silver. Then I go in with the Drunk Elephant, and excuse the state of these, but they are actually things that I use, or they're a little messy. It's the Drunk Elephant De Bronzy Anti-Pollution Sunshine Serum. So you can see by Terry and then De Bronzy. So you see the difference in the tones there. And then we've got the Giorgio Armani Fluid Sheer, and this brings the warmth back. So I've got the beautiful filtering effect with the by Terry, and then a nice deep color with the Drunk Elephant, and then finally with the Giorgio Armani, you can see right there, it's got a nice warmth to it. So those 3 blended together make a really nice combination on my skin tone, which is why I use all 3 of those. If one of those products did all those things, I would use one product, but I can't find one that does all of those things. So if this by Terry was offered in a deeper and warmer shade, I would probably just use that one, but it's just a little bit too cool for me, so I like to blend them all together. So for foundations, there was really one that just stood out to me as really impressive, and unlike most of the other ones I have out there, I tried some really beautiful foundations this year, but this one, every time I use it, I'm so impressed, like still so impressed with it. It's the Tom Ford Waterproof Foundation Concealer, and not a whole lot of people talk about this, but it's really great for oily skin or oily combination skin. So I have more oily skin in the center of my face, dry skin on the exterior, but the reason I need this is for like a heavier duty foundation and or concealer in the center area, which is oily. So this works really well on that type of skin. I use it in the shade Tawny, and that's 7. And if you look at the original video I posted about this, it oxidizes, so you'll see in a moment that that will change up in a little bit. Really skin-like, it lasts all day, it looks as good at the end of the day as it did when you initially apply it. So I cannot say enough about this, and something I'll continue to come back to. The only reason I don't use it every day is because it's a little bit labor intensive to get it to the state that I want it in. So just one layer doesn't really do it. I have to do some things with color correcting because I really am using it to target a few specific areas. Otherwise I would just, you know, put it on like one layer, but that's not how it works on me. It works well with a color corrector, the Naked Skin by Urban Decay, and this one's in Deep Peach. These two together work really beautifully, and I do use just this color on the rest of my face, but just kind of as a transition between no foundation and foundation, or no concealer and concealer. I just run it along here because I didn't actually apply foundation to the exterior of my face today. And like I said, that video that I'll post shows the full process and how I use them. I did want to mention the Renewed Hope in a Jar Skin Tint by Philosophy in 6.5, and this is something I actually recently repurchased. Again, I'm really impressed with the way this looks on the skin. It's very skin-like, and actually yesterday I went out because I forgot I had a an appointment, a nail appointment, and I had literally 5 minutes to get ready. Here's a little swatch. So what I did is I just put on this Even Up sunscreen. I didn't even have a chance to moisturize or anything. I just put this on, and then I put this on top of it, and it looked just fine. I mean, I didn't have concealer or anything. You could still see a little of the deepness, darkness coming through on some of those spots, but it was a nice, just even skin tone to get out of the house. So again, this works really well if your moisturizer isn't too emollient, because it will slide around on top of it instead of melding with your skin. But that is a beautiful one. I still don't love the packaging on this, but I love the product. Oh, I forgot to mention my favorite primer. It's the Becca Backlight Priming Filter. It does what it says. It gets a nice light on your, especially again, I hate to say, but on those imperfections. It'll diffuse that light, and makeup adheres to it really well and extends the life of the makeup. Yeah, I can't say enough about this, and I really, again, use it just in the center of my face. I don't use it all over my face. Okay, moving along to more concealers. So I did mention the Tom Ford Foundation Concealer. I use it really more as a concealer than anything else because of the way that I use it. I don't like to cover up too much of my skin. Is probably the reason why I use it more as a concealer than anything else. But I also love this concealer. It's the Clé de Peau. I've talked about this before, in Honey. It's got the SPF in it. I like that about it because just another layer of protection is great whenever I can add that to those areas that I'm treating for the darkness anyway. I want to protect it as much as possible. I do use it with this Cover FX color corrector as well underneath. So those two are beautiful together, really skin-like, very fast and easy to use. But the reason why I would go for the Tom Ford is if it were really hot and humid, this performs really well in it. I wouldn't use the Clé de Peau in that heat because I've tried it and it kind of just melts, but it's really great for the winter. So when the air is drier, I really, really love this one and the way it performs. It has a really nice skin finish to it, even in this colder and drier weather. So someone asked me which one would I choose between Tom Ford and Clé de Peau, and it really does depend on the type of weather I'm in, because I would choose them based on different weather conditions. So I would really just need both of them. New to me, Radiant Corrector for Eyes by Clé de Peau in Mocha. Great under eye concealer. I got a couple questions. Can you use this under the eye without powder? Yes, you can. So I know some people don't powder their makeup, but I powder my makeup, so I just like it to look a little bit more, what's what I'm looking for? I just want it to look a little bit more uniform in terms of the finish, powder versus no powder. So it's right here. Has definitely a warmth to it and not something I think of when I think of Mocha. When I think of Mocha, I think of a cool color, but that's nice and warm. No creasing, love it. Try it if you are looking for a non-creasing concealer. Just make sure you prep correctly though. I prepped with the Clé de Peau eye moisturizer, which is really beautiful. So I know that probably had something to do with it because I did test it with my Bobbi Brown moisturizer and I did get creasing with that. So just make sure you prep it correctly. And then speaking of prepping correctly, I tried this as a kind of a crease test as well, the Magic Way concealers, and I love this one 8 on top of my other concealers. So I do like a layering of concealers as I go, and this is the last step. This again is an 8. I use it for the center of my face, but I also have it in 7, and 7's when I got the creasing because I used it under my eyes. But now I wonder, and I need to test this out, will this crease with the Clé de Peau moisturizer? Someone told me that, I just want to show you the color of 7 next to 8. One of you had let me know that you used the Charlotte Tilbury Eye Moisturizer, 7 and 8. And you said that you didn't get creasing, so I wanted to try that out with the Clé de Peau and see if that has the same result. I will leave the information down below for you. Here is 7 and here is 8 in case you were curious about the colors, but I do use 8 on the middle part of my face, and then sometimes I'll use 7 just down my nose to kind of highlight it. Really beautiful skin-like finish on that concealer. So I do rely on 3 different powders. The Veil Translucent Setting Powder by Hourglass goes under the eye area just really lightly to set it, and then I use the Bobbi Brown Retouching Powder in 4 Peach, and it's kind of dirty, but it's like a peachy color. Again, you get that color correcting on top of all of the other color correcting I'm doing. It just makes sure I don't negate the work I've done, because sometimes I'll put a translucent powder on top of all of that color correcting and it darkens it and kind of takes away from all the work I just did. So if I finish with a peach hued powder, then I get to keep all that work that I did in place. And then finally, the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Powder in Radiant Light. I always finish off with this. It just removes the makeup-y look from my makeup and looks more skin-like. So I'm still loving this and have repurchased this one many, many times. I think at least 4 times or 5 times, a lot. Okay, on to my favorite highlighter and contour is by Charlotte Tilbury, the contour wand and the beauty light wand. And this one is in medium dark, and there are 2 shades of this one. So I have the deeper one. So here's a swatch of that. And then I also have the highlighter, which is my favorite thing to use, one of my favorite things to put on. I love that. It just catches the light. It's such a delicate kind of shimmer and not chunky or glittery in any way. It's just a glow. So if you like a glowy highlighter, this is the one for you. I like to just use a beauty blender to kind of push it into my skin and to blend it in. Yeah, it is really stunning. Okay, on to eyebrows. I do use a couple of eyebrow products, one for the summer, the Wonder Brow, and this is in the shade Brunette, although I think there's a deeper one, like it's like a dark brown, I think. I'll have to put it below. That's almost better. So this can be a little bit gray, but I love the formula, so I just wanted to point that out to you because it's really great for, again, hot, humid climates. Then I've got the Anastasia Dip Brow Pomade in Ash Brown, which I use in the winter, and I'm using it today. You'll see that in action in that tutorial if you want to tune into that, or the Get Ready With Me. So those are both really reliable kinds of products. And then I've got the Dior Brow Styler in 002, because this one is a nice waxy kind of pencil that you can draw on hairs really well, and it doesn't look too chunky, or you can see really how lightly you can apply it if you want to apply it that lightly, but the colors really work really well together. Again, very reliable, and love using those and count on those every day. Videos and no videos, I count on those every day. Okay, and then I still haven't found anything I love more than this one, the Glossier Boy Brow in brown. This one's in brown, and it just does such an amazing job. I haven't found any high-end brow products that do what this does. It just has a lot of hold. Some of the higher end ones are very like gentle in their hold, and they're very lightweight in their hold, but I need something pretty heavy duty because my eyebrows are coarse. So I do love this one, and it builds them up really nicely. So I count on this one to do the job. I'm curious about some other brands I haven't tried yet, so I'll give those a go this year, but for now, this is still my go-to. On to eyes, my favorite eyeshadow palette is this one. It's the Charlotte Tilbury Stars in Your Eyes palette, because every time I go in to use these colors, I never have a problem, and the look always turns out really pretty. So I love how interchangeable they are. I love the different finishes, and I love the blendability of all of the colors, and they're all stunning colors on their own, which is something I love in a palette. I don't like when there are only a few colors that I like in a palette. I like to use them all. So in this case, I have really, you can see I've dipped into all of the colors at some point, and I love using them. It's always a really easy and positive outcome when I use that. So I know it's limited edition, so that's one of the things that I think that they should bring back as a full-time, a permanent edition. I think they should add it. I know there are a lot of people who want a Pillow Talk, and I know they're bringing that back, or planning to bring that back in 2019. I don't know, that's a really good one though. So I hope you got your hands on it if you wanted it. I know it came back again in limited quantities. I posted on Instagram stories. That again would be a really great permanent addition to their collection. I will link all the videos below that have full swatches of everything. I'm trying to swatch as much as I can, but I think that in the full video, you'll get a better sense of everything. And then you'll get to see how they look in action as well. Okay, let's see, a few more eye things. Eyeliners, we've got the Tom Ford Eye Defining Pen, which is just still my favorite liquid liner. It's got that calligraphy end on it that's really bendable, and then the other end, which is shorter, is a more firm kind of end, and it does a nice job of just establishing a wing if you want to do a little flick on the end. But I love the calligraphy side because you can just lay it against your lashes and really intensify that lash line. And then 2 pencils by Marc Jacobs. I love their highliners. So I've got Blacker, which I've talked about before. Love this for tight lining, although I did get a nice suggestion about Sephora eyeliner that I want to try this year. And then Marc Jacobs, also the Midnight in Paris. It's like a navy with a shimmer in it, like a beautiful silvery shimmer in it. Really nice for brown eyes. So if you're looking for something that's not black, that's not brown, but something that'll have brown eyes pop, then this is a great one. Really easy formula to work with as well. Then we've got the Laura Mercier Caviar Stick Eye Color. And this time, I know I talk about copper all the time, but this time I'm going to talk about Moonlight because I've used that as an alternative to the copper. Sometimes copper is a little bit bright, a little bit warm, still always beautiful, but if you're looking for something a little bit cooler, this is a really beautiful one. There's another one I tried, I think it was Sugar Frost, but it did not perform like this one. So Moonlight is very similar in performance to copper, just a different shade. So I've been using this a lot with cooler toned looks. For mascara, I am still loving the Giorgio Maximizer 3D Primer. I use this always underneath my mascara. It just beefs up anything you're gonna get from your regular mascara. So if you wanna intensify your mascara, start with that and you get some conditioning on those lashes as well. And I'm loving the Lash Expert Twist Brush by Terry mascara. It is really nice. If you haven't tried this yet, it does what I love: length, volume, it holds the curl, but it's not waterproof. I don't use waterproof mascaras typically. So yeah, love this one. It's the one that has the twist. You can twist this wand so you can have it longer or also shorten it up, and then it just, I'll show you in the demo when I post that, but I'll show you how I use it. But I use the longer version first, and then I intensify it with the twist on the second coat, and then go in with the third coat and just separate them again with the longer version of that. It'll make more sense when you see it. And then we've got the Clinique Bottom Lash Mascara. Seems like an excessive thing to have, but it just does a really great job. It does a better job than any other typical mascara because it's built for the bottom lashes, and it just grabs each lash and does that without clumping. So I still love this. On to lips. Wow, this does not go anywhere. I'm trying to clean off my hands so I can swatch the lips for you next, but that's how much it stays. Although it does remove really nicely with makeup remover, so it doesn't stay forever. Okay, so I have a few lip favorites. It was really hard to pick just one. So I'm gonna start with a favorite that is not fun to use, but I notice I use it a lot, and it is always consistent in its performance, and it does what it's supposed to do. I've got this NARS Power Matte Lip Pigment in Get It On, and it does a really nice job of covering up any pigmentation that you might have, which is an issue for me, without having to line first. So I can just apply this and it covers up all that pigmentation, and this is the color that you see. I'll use it in the Get Ready With Me so you can see what that looks like on, because I did switch lips for this video. It's got that perfect nude warm color, so you have a nice nude lip without looking ill. Sometimes if it's the wrong undertone, it can look like a little bit ill looking. So it doesn't have that. So if you have the same issue as me and you're looking to just even out your lips and get a nice lighter nude tone on there that is lightweight yet very pigmented, then this is the one. Now this is a lip color that I do really enjoy using. It's the Confession lipsticks, and I love several of the shades, but I'm going to show you this one, which I'm wearing today. I Can't Live Without, and they are just easy to use and fun. I think because of the ergonomics of this, it's more fun to apply. It feels easier to apply, and I think the size of it makes it easier to line your lips first and then fill them in, versus like a standard size, which actually is better to apply with a lipstick brush. But I think the shape of this is perfect. So if you haven't tried these yet, I would definitely go out and try it. They don't bleed. They're nice and moisturizing, and they last for a long time. I was wearing this when we went out to dinner, and I used my napkin, of course, and then I went to check in the mirror. There was still color on there. I mean, it wasn't like this fresh lipstick, but there was definitely color still left, so really long lasting as well. So if you want a lipstick that doesn't feel like heavy and it's very moisturizing yet stays in place, I would try those. Another one is this Tom Ford Indian Rose. I just recently bought it, but I love it so much. This is a little bit lighter weight, but a beautiful color if you haven't tried it yet. Again, I think it's one of their best sellers, and no surprise. Moisturizing, looks great with any kind of shade. It's a really neutral kind of color, so it's just pretty. It's one of those pretty lipsticks. That's how I would describe it. And then for my favorite lip glosses, we've got the By Terry Gloss Terribly Shine. You just don't get that stickiness with it. There's some anti-aging in here. It's got that plumping without being pepperminty. So you can see here why I love number 9 Bit and Splash. It's just one of those colors that's like a Your Lips But Better color. And then I've got another shade that I've been loving too recently is number 6. It's a little bit peachy pink. So if there's anything I need to warm up, I can always add this on top and I'll give it that warmth. And I didn't want to go without mentioning this eyelash curler. So if you have the Shuimura one and you have trouble maneuvering it around to catch all those lashes, then I would go with this one because that was my trouble. It did a great job of curling. I just couldn't get around to all of them. But this Surratt one, if I go in this kind of motion around, then I can catch all of the lashes, and it's really good. So if you haven't tried this yet and you're having trouble with the Shuimura one, I would give this one a try. So glad I got that. I know that was a recommendation for no use, so thank you so much for that. And then finally, my favorite palette is the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Edit in Unlocked. And again, I have a full video on that, but it just is so versatile, and I have traveled with this, and it's, out of all my palettes, I have many face palettes, it's the one that I've used the most. So over the years, I know this one's new to me, but I've used it already more than any of the other palettes I've had, so that says a lot, but all really beautiful colors. So I will link all the videos below of my favorites in action as single videos, so you can see them in a bundle. If you want to do that, I'll put them in a playlist as well. So that is it for my 2018 makeup favorites. If you have makeup favorites that you think I should try that I will also love, please give me the information below and I will look into them. And I get some really excellent suggestions from you, so thank you so much in advance for taking time to do that. I know it's another step to take a moment to leave a comment, but I really do appreciate it. And that's it. So if you enjoyed the video, if you learned something, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks. So speaking of powders, we're not speaking of powders, product. And then you've got the deepness I need with the De Bronzy by Drunk Elephant, and then So, whoopsies. That. So it'll make more sense when you, it'll make more. Okay, just a couple more things. So for mascara, oh no. Gosh darn it.